Okay, the time is 4 o'clock. I will call the Plan Commission meeting to order in person and via Zoom, Tuesday, September 27th, 2022, 4 p.m. Here at City Hall on the second floor. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Highfield,
Present.
Commissioner Kesenick, Commissioner Lesko
Here.
Commissioner Schultz,
Here.
Engineer Selly,
Here.
Manager Lemire.
Here. Okay, next on the agenda, review and possible action relating to the minutes of the September 13, 2022 regular Plan Commission meeting.
Move to approve the minutes of the September 13, 2022 regular Plan Commission meeting.
Highfield, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Next item is review and possible action relating to the request for a special area design review for the property located at 130 North Main Street. This is SADR 2022-03. Jed?
Yes, so this is in the downtown historic mixed use area. Any alterations to the exterior of the building requires a special area design review. And this particular one falls underneath just the renovation review. Mostly because it's just touching up paint and repainting, mostly with similar colors. It is already done, as you can see. I did approach the owner, Nettie Teller, who's here, that it does require a review process to go through. She immediately came and did submit the application. Has gone through all gone through the Historic Preservation Commission, and we have reviewed it here. And we recommend that the Plan Commission approve the chosen colors.
I just have a couple questions. How are the property owners notified about this?
We did send out a letter when we enacted our ordinance. That was some time ago. So it is possible that it has slipped through the cracks, but we did send a letter to all the building owners at that time.
Yeah, I think it was shortly after we adopted the zoning code in November of 2020, so probably early 21. We did talk internally about there probably is a need to send that out either annually or every other year as properties change hands.
A reminder would be a good idea. We do have a couple of buildings that could use some more information.
It seems like that's happened maybe once before that
Mhm.
the property owners weren't aware of that before. Maybe it changed hands in the meantime or something.
Correct. Yeah, it would be good to carry that through. Yeah.
Any other questions from the Plan Commission?
I would move to approve the new paint scheme at 130 North Main Street.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any other questions or comments from the Plan Commission? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Item number 5 is review and possible action relating to the request for site plan review for signage for Fort Transportation located at 1600 Janesville Avenue. This is site plan review 2022-07.
Yeah, thank you. This is a replacement of some existing signage that's on the building that we know of as Fort Transportation, visible from Janesville Avenue at the corner of Larson Road. The signs themselves are going to go in these locations, again, which are visible from the road. And then the signs, let me scroll down here, are intended to look like this. So pretty good examples of how they look on the buildings themselves. These signs all meet the requirements of our current code. Staff has reviewed them and has no concerns. I'd be happy to answer any questions the commission may have, but we would recommend approval.
was the one with the question, sorry. Is there a name change involved with these new signs?
It appears so. I don't think we spoke specifically to the applicant about that, but certainly Transportation Solutions is different than Fort Transportation.
Ryan?
It doesn't appear so, no.
Oh, okay. Okay. So are you aware if there was a name change of the company?
Can you come to the podium, please, and make sure the button is green? Otherwise, people on the Zoom cannot hear you. And can you please state your name and address for the record for us?
All right. Yes, my name is Drew. I'm with Sign Art Studio. We are at 325 West Front Street in Mount Horeb. I don't know the zip code. I apologize.
It's okay.
So as far as a name change is concerned, Fort Trans is actually already branded here. It's on a freestanding sign that's on the opposite or the adjacent street. So the branding of this location is being updated to the Fort Transportation. As far as an actual municipal name change that's been filed, I'm not sure.
And we don't have a registration for changing the name of a business, so that we wouldn't be necessarily notified of that if the doing business as changed or if the LLC changed. Okay. Any other questions?
I guess my only comment would be, I have no problem with the name or the design of the new signage. Is the red and the white, are those corporate colors? Do you know, or were those?
They do appear to be part of their branding colors, correct? Yes. Red and white.
I may have chosen something complementary to the building color other than red, but just my personal opinion.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm a plaid guy myself.
Bad guy? Yeah, that's fair. Would have been hard to read.
I move, excuse me, I move to approve the request for a special area design review for the property located at 130 North.
This is-
Excuse me, I got off the wrong line here. Approve the request for the site plan review signage for Fort Transportation located at 1600 Janesville Avenue, SPR 2022-07.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any final questions or thoughts by the Plan Commission? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Next on the agenda is review and possible action relating to the request for site plan review signage for R&R Services LLC located at 710 Highland Avenue. This is SPR 2022-08.
Yeah, this is somewhat located nearby. R&H has this black sign on the front of their building here that's noted in the memo. They intend to update those signs with something similar, I assume, from your company also.
Correct.
Given the designs there. The signs themselves meet all the requirements of the zoning code. Staff did review those and would recommend approval. And I would be happy to answer any questions, as would, I forgot your name. Our representative.
Troy?
Troy?
Drew.
Drew, sorry. Drew.
Close. Same amount of letters.
Great.
Any questions or comments from the Plan Commission?
I would move to approve the site plan review with signage for R&H Services at 710 Highland Avenue.
Highfield, second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any final comments or questions from the Plan Commission? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries.
Well,
Thank you,
very
Drew.
much.
Thank you.
Rebecca, you need the PowerPoint up now.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the presentation of the Plan Commission in public relating to the proposed tax incremental districts numbers 9 and 10 in the city of Fort Atkinson. Okay. Okay, so we do have the city's financial advisor, Brian from Baird, here tonight as well, who can answer questions from potentially answer questions during the public hearing and those from the Plan Commission. So tax incremental financing, it's a financing option that allows a municipality to fund infrastructure and other improvements through the property tax revenue on newly developed property. So the city or the municipality identifies the area, which is the district or the TID, tax increment district, identifies the projects to encourage and facilitate the desired development. And as those property values rise after the district is created, the municipality can use the property tax paid on those developments to pay for the projects within the district. So this is the single most valuable tool for municipalities to support new development and redevelopment. The city currently has 3 tax increment districts. TID 6 is on the south side of the city in the Clement, or is the Clement Business Park. TID 7 is downtown blight elimination district. TID 8 is the Northwest Corridor Development District. That is a mixed use district. All 3 of these districts are nearing the ends of their lives. TID 6 and TID 7 are past the expenditure periods. So there's no new projects that can happen in those TIDs. And TID 8, the last year to spend funds on new projects in TID 8 is 2024. So first up is the tax increment district number 9. We do have the project plans, which are posted on the city's website. I do have a couple extras here in case anybody needs one. We can also print more if needed. This is a mixed use district. It is an overlay of TID number 8. The maximum life is 20 years. There is a 15-year expenditure period. We are proposing just over $23 million in project and financing costs with an estimated revenue or increment from those projects or from projects at $29,432,000. At the end of the life of the TID, we are estimating that an additional $75 million in value will be added to the tax roll at the end. To meet the definition of a mixed use district, less than 35% can be used for newly platted single family residential, and we are meeting that standard. And the project plan is in concert with the city's comprehensive plan. The district is outlined in green in the on the map attached. As you can see, some of it overlays TID number 8. There are some newly annexed areas that are included in this tax increment district, including the parcel west of the Highway 26 bypass and including the parcels along Banker Road that are owned by the city. This is the current land use map that's included in the project plan, just showing the current land uses in the TID. This map shows the half-mile shows the half-mile border. Funds statutes allow for the city to spend money on projects within 1/2 mile within the city limits of the borders of the tax increment district. So this map shows where project funds could be spent. And this map shows the proposed improvements, the proposed projects. They're labeled with numbers. And then on this map, we have the parcel list and then the projects. And some of the projects include the Montclair overpass, water extension on Madison Avenue, a northwest sanitary sewer interceptor, Banker Road development, pressure zone for water, above ground water storage in the northwest side of the city there, Madison Avenue improvements, Banker Road geothermal improvements, improvements at the intersection of Banker Road and Madison Avenue, potential land purchases by the city, park improvements, regional stormwater improvements, bike and pedestrian path extensions, road and utility installation, direct developer incentives, financing and interest, meaning borrowing and paying that back, and then administrative and organizational fees. So there are descriptions of, general descriptions of each of those project types within the project plan. And then again, a list of the parcels as well. So some additional information about this TID, it does meet the but-for test for creation, meaning that the development proposed within the project plan would not occur or would not occur in the manner, at the values, or within the time frame developed by the city. This does include the undeveloped and underdeveloped land within TID 8 and the recently annexed lands. All those lands were all annexed through unanimous consent. So that means the property owner requested the annexation of all that land. TID number 9 does meet the economic feasibility test, meets the 12% test, which means that not more than 12% of the total equalized value of the city of Fort Atkinson is contained within tax increment districts. All property owners were notified through letters, and all of our required legal notices have been completed at this point. The Joint Review Board had their initial meeting yesterday and were generally supportive of this. After I talk a little bit about TID number 10, then I will go into timeline for the rest of it. So we will eventually, after the public hearings and after any additional discussion, be requesting that the Plan Commission take action to adopt the resolution recommending that the City Council adopt the project plan and boundaries for TID number 9. TID number 10 is proposed as a blight elimination district. And so the standard for that is that at least 50% of the district is considered blight. The maximum life is 27 years with a 22-year expenditure period. We're proposing $14.5 million in projects and financing costs with $26.7 million in estimated revenues and $50 million in estimated value increment, additional tax base at the end of the life of the TID. And development and redevelopment within this tax increment district will be in concert with the city's comprehensive plan. You can see the location of TID 10. It's outlined in red on the attached map. Existing land uses. This is the half-mile buffer around the within the city limits around the tax increment district. I will note that the 2 half-mile buffers outside of these 2 districts do overlap, which may create an opportunity for some infill sidewalk projects or infill bike or pedestrian connections. And the projects listed are numbered on this map and included in the project plan. Those include possible remediation on the Lorman site, bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure, a city entrance feature at High Street, the Clement Park improvements. Now this is Clement Park where the boat launch is up near up at the river, not to be confused with the Clement Business Park on the south side. Road and utility installation, stormwater allowance, park allowances, direct developer incentives and developer assistance, financing and interest, and administrative and organizational fees. This includes a list of the parcels. So again, this does meet the but-for test for creation, meaning that the development proposed within the project plan would not occur in the manner, at the values, or within the time frame developed by the city. It does meet the economic feasibility test, meets the 12% test, All property owners were notified during letter or through letters, and all legal requirements were completed. And again, Joint Review Board met yesterday and was generally supportive of the creation of this tax increment district. The remaining timeline for this, on the 6th of September, we had our draft project plans for public review. The city council did a tax increment financing and tax increment district workshop. Notice of the public hearings went to all of the taxing jurisdictions and sent to all the property owners. On the 13th and the 20th, publication of the notice of public hearing was in the newspaper. And our Joint Review Board did meet yesterday. Today is the public hearing and presentation at the Plan Commission, where the Plan Commission may recommend approval to the City Council. The City Council will review these items at the meeting on October 18th. And then we will publish another notice of the Joint Review Board meeting, which will take place on November 1st, 2022, with final action by the Joint Review Board potentially creating TIDs 9 and 10. We'll submit written notice to the Department of Revenue of TID approval if that does happen. And the TIDs will be in effect as of January 1st, 2023. Okay, so that is the extent of the presentation. As I mentioned, we do have Brian with Baird here to answer questions. I think I will go ahead and at this point open the public hearing for tax increment district number 9. So this is the first call for public comment for tax increment district number 9. No, you'd have to come up there, please, and state your name and address for the record. Are you wanting to talk about number 9 or number 10? 10, okay. We'll do that one. Yeah, we'll do that one next. Okay, thank you. So this is the second call for public hearing for the tax increment district number 9. Third and final call for the public hearing for tax increment district number 9. Okay, hearing none, that public hearing is closed. We'll go ahead and open the public hearing for the project plan and district boundary for tax increment district number 10 in the city of Port Atkinson, Wisconsin.
My name is Curtis Avendoff, and we live at 1000 Main Street in Port Atkinson. And we have approximately 14 acres, almost 14 acres in this 10 district. My first question is, why are opportunities building not included?
One of the reasons that opportunities, let's see if we can pull back that map up. Yeah, thank you. Let's see. We did not include those because they are for the most part taking up the majority of the space on the parcels already. So there's not a lot of space for additional development, and there's not increment that would be added because those parcels are tax exempt. So they're not adding value to the tax base because they don't necessarily pay property taxes on the value that's there now. And they are it's a 501c3, and Attorney Westrick, I don't know if there's
charitable organization that does not pay taxes, including real estate taxes.
one of the things that's bothering me a lot is that the city currently owns a lot of property which there's debt on. And they are talking about increasing the amount of debt that the city pays for the borrow. And the people involved in the financing project, the cost of the interest. You just bought back land in Clement, which used to be, everybody thought it was the Clement Industrial Park, but it's now called the Business Park. But years ago, right after the Gordon Gate project, they ran out of industrial, and that was the industrial park. So anyway, but that is that you had that for several years, and the property has not been sold. You just bought back some of that property. So that, to me, is an issue.
Right, so this is a public hearing for TID number 10.
I realize that,
Okay,
but we're
thank you.
talking about financing.
Yeah.
And the amount of money that's being borrowed, the amount of money that's used for, interest, and the amount of money that it would cost to put in some of this infrastructure.
Right, so this is the project plan, so there's not actually any, this body nor the city council during this process would be authorizing any new debt associated with this. So it's in the project plan as something that is possible in the future, depending on the development, when the development occurs and how it occurs.
If the project were to go through, would my premise be true?
There are several options for financing all of the different projects, but yes, one of those options is borrowing, and then the revenue from the tax increment district would pay back the debt and the interest associated with that.
Over up to, I think, what, 15 or 20 years?
Yes, TID number 10 would be 27 years. Mhm.
My wife and I don't feel that our property is voided. We would like to be removed from this number 10 district. We've been there for 45 years. Part of the land is wetland. The state has said we cannot have any more driveway entrances or road entrances off of North Main Street, which is Highway 89. And the rest of it, we look, there's a lot of green area which we're paying tax on. Everybody else is able to enjoy. Kind of like a private park, but we let the neighbors use the park.
I will address that. If we look at the map, the parcel that you're referring to is needed for contiguity for the TID. We cannot use a right of way to get to other parcels. So that means a road or the railroad right of way.
So we're talking about the future.
Yes, we are.
Let's get into the future a little bit. So I'm pointing this out, thinking about the future. So that the city is aware of the fact that it's wetland and there's no additional entrances off it.
Yes, thank you. We're aware of that.
But some of those things were not pointed out. Now, as far as the Warman property, I believe the city already owns that.
Yes, the city does.
Are they paying a mortgage on that?
No,
Free and clear.
Yes, it is. It is. It's covered by a grant application that we received.
So money has been, you received money to pay for the Warman property.
Technically speaking, it is a reimbursement grant. So we will ask for the reimbursement when the project is finished. But yes, we have funds that have been allocated to that through the grant to pay for it in its entirety.
Where are the funds now?
They're sitting in Washington DC, I suppose.
So in other words, we don't have the funds. There's.
Well, no, it's not a hope. It is a contract, if you will, that the government has indicated per the contract terms, once the project is executed in its entirety, the city of Fort Atkinson can then submit the project costs for reimbursement. So it's a bit of a, I forget what you call that, make sure you get the project done, right?
Now, I also, like, we took our evaluation that's listed of our property and took it out, it really got no bearing on the compliance factor for this project. So we would like to have that removed. City's making over $13 million plus financing in for this project. A lot of stuff was going on in the past. I guess that's about it. So I would like to have that our property.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else wishing to speak in the public hearing for TID number 10? This will be the third and final call for the public hearing for TID number 10. Okay, I will now close the public hearing. We are to item 10, which is review and possible action relating to a resolution recommending adoption of the project plan and boundaries for tax increment district number 9 in the city of Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin. Any questions from members of the Plan Commission or any discussion relating to TID number 9?
The part of TID 8 and 9, the overlapping part, is the advantage there that it sort of extends the time frame to encourage and spur some development there that hasn't happened to this point? I mean, are there other reasons why you would want to overlap those?
Yes, so there are other reasons too. So all the land that is undeveloped or underdeveloped, or that we know may be spurring additional value in the future, we did include in number 9. And the effect of that will be the value that the current value where 8 is, the current value when we create 9, all the additional value will go into 9. But all of the value between the base of 8 and the current value of 8 will stay in 8. So 8 is the city's most successful tax increment district. There's a lot of revenue generated. There are still projects. The city can still take on projects, public infrastructure projects or development incentives through 2024 or through the date, I think it's September of 24 for TID number 8. And including some of these parcels in 9 will generate additional value sooner for TID number 9.
Okay. And any downside that you see of having that overlap?
I do not see a downside.
Related to David's comments about the 2 different districts, 8 and 9, I was thinking it would be useful for the Plan Commission and others to see those 2 districts, overlaid on top of one another.
I do not have a map that shows that in that is the location of 8. So some of those parcels are
Kind of in this Doris Drive area here was the majority of the overlap.
So I can tell you a couple things about why 9 is kind of the size and the shape that it is and why it includes the high school property, even though that won't generate any increment, and includes the Crown of Life property, even though that won't generate any increment. This is primarily at this point to serve the development for the Banker Road parcels that are the city-owned parcels along Banker Road that we intend to develop with our new development partner at Hoffman Development Group and Cedar Prize. So creating the tax increment district allows a financing mechanism for public infrastructure in that area. And that in order to meet the 35% threshold, so this mixed use district can't have more than 35% of its land for newly platted residential development. In order to meet that 35%, we had to make the district a little bit larger, which is why we included the high school parcels as well as the Crown of Life parcel, that those have no negative impact or positive impact on those two parcels. They're developed, they are tax exempt parcels. And they won't see a change in any sort of value due to their inclusion in the tax increment district. Any other questions from the Plan Commission? Okay, I would entertain a motion to adopt the resolution recommending the adoption of the project plan and boundaries for tax increment district number 9, city of Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin.
Highfield second.
Would you make that motion, Commissioner Highfield? Instead of a second, could you make that motion? So moved is appropriate.
So move.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any final discussion, questions, comments from the Plan Commission? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Next item is review and possible action relating to a resolution recommending adoption of the project plan and boundaries for tax increment district number 10, city of Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin. Any questions, comments from the Plan Commission? I will say that we did have a request tonight from Curtis Abidroth to remove their parcel from the TID. I recommend that that parcel remain in the tax increment district in order to create or continue the contiguity to the parcels to the north that are also included in the district.
This is the parcel that Mr. Abendroth was talking about. It's kind of this long rectangle here along Kramer Street, for those of you that are unaware. And the contiguity issue that was noted is we can't bring in these parcels to the north through a right of way. So we have to have this land that's sort of in between in order to maintain the contiguity rule.
Any questions or comments from the Plan Commission relating to TID number 10?
Yeah, can you help me identify what exactly are those properties to the north that would be kind of out to dry?
This is Green Bay Packaging is located here. And then this is Hoppe located here along Blackhawk Drive.
And in the event that either of those businesses chose to expand on site, then the additional increment would be in the tax increment district. That is the reason for inclusion.
And I think many of us may remember Green Bay Packaging had an approved site plan for a pretty significant addition that is currently under construction. will not be finished by the time this TID would be in effect, pending approvals, of course. So we would capture that increment of that additional construction. That's this location here, and the addition was kind of just to the east of that.
The public hearing is closed.
You have already crossed the right of way.
Any other questions from the Plan Commission relating to this?
I have a question. I'm just trying to understand the environmental corridor, or let's see. Yeah, so an environmental corridor, that could be privately or publicly owned, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And is there some sort of protection of those environmental corridor that's required by the state or?
Yeah, if there are wetlands, we cannot build on wetlands.
Okay. They can be included in a TID for continuity purposes, but they cannot be developed. Is that what am I understanding that right?
Yes, I mean, any of these parcels or none of these parcels could be developed in the future. We're creating a district that allows for opportunities for development or redevelopment and allows the city to use tax increment financing for infrastructure or for development incentives within the district. So I guess it's better to think of this as a whole district versus as just, parcel by parcel. It's not we are choosing the parcels to develop or redevelop. We are just choosing the tax increment district to support future development and redevelopment in the area. And as I mentioned with TID 9, being in a tax increment district does not negatively impact property values or any other ownership of a parcel.
The
So
fact that
Mayor,
wetlands are in the district, you still can't build on them, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
So what is the impact to an owner? Be it a residential or a business owner, if this TID moves through, what would the owner notice over the next 20 years?
So there could be no impact whatsoever. They would not notice any difference in a tax rate or a tax bill, except their tax bill might note that the parcel is within a tax increment district. But that it wouldn't change the value. It would provide potentially an opportunity for incentivized development in the future. And this is the blight elimination TID, so it is permitted to exist for 27 years. So for the next 22 years, there could potentially be development or redevelopment, public infrastructure opportunities within this district.
So if I were a business owner of a parcel in the TID looking to sell, the fact that I am in the TID would be a much more attractive attribute for my parcel to a potential buyer.
It would, because additional development could be incentivized.
Is it premature right now to address the debt concern in terms of the city taking on additional debt financing and interest payments? Or is that, well, maybe I should stop right there and ask if it's premature to have that discussion right now.
So the city does not have, along with these TIDs, the city doesn't have a plan right now to borrow anything for new infrastructure for any of the projects. It is an option it is included in the project plan so that the city council would, so that they have the opportunity to do so in the future. So they, if they choose to support development. I will tell you that the city is in a very good financial condition. The city's, I think we're at 19% of our borrowing capacity. So there is plenty of borrowing capacity if the city chose to borrow in the future to support these projects. And borrowing when the payback, when the debt repayment is through a tax increment district, it actually does not count against our general obligation borrowing capacity, because there is a different source of revenue to pay back debt.
And so while at the risk of it being a premature discussion at this point, there are different ways you can finance the
Correct.
TIF districts as well, such as if I'm not mistaken, the Northwest corridor is a pay-as-you-go
There,
district.
that project plan outlines, just like this one does, multiple ways to finance projects. That tax increment district happens to be very healthy and is generating a lot of increment. So there is a possibility, depending on the nature of the project, that, you know, smaller projects could be paid for with cash from the district. Larger scale projects might have to be supplemented through another financing source. But the most recent development agreement that the city undertook with Highland Dental, which was the most recent development in that district, was pay-go.
Yep.
And so that means that the reimbursement, the incentive that the city is providing that company for locating will be paid for through the value add for the development.
So perhaps then just for myself, if and when the time comes to finance a new districts, there are ways that can minimize the city's exposure to new debt in ways that we have been having some success within the city already.
Correct.
Yep.
Any final questions, comments from the Plan Commission?
Just one last question. What is the city's or government's definition of blight?
This uses the state's definition of blight, and I can certainly pull that statute up. Or Brian, is that something that, is that in the project plan? Okay. Yeah, is the definition of blight in that? Okay. Yeah, so I'm seeing it here. It's on page 4. It says, yes, the TID is created as a blight district based on the findings that at least 50% of the TID is a blighted area. A blighted area is property in which is by reason of dilapidation, deterioration, age, or obsolescence, inadequate provisions for ventilation, lights, air, or sanitation, high density of population and overcrowding, or the existence of conditions which endanger the life or property by fire or other causes. The proposed area, 50% of the proposed area has been declared blighted. That is a designation that does not have any consequences aside from being able to have a blight elimination district, which extends the life of the district to 27 years instead of a mixed use district, which would be 20 years with an expenditure period of 15 years. So that designation gives us 7 more years to complete projects and to pay back if there is any debt, or make the district whole and then close it.
Okay, so the wetlands / environmental corridors would be not included in that 50%. It's the other areas that are considered blighted. Is that right?
Right, there's other areas that are blighted.
Thank you.
If there are no other questions or comments, I would entertain a motion to approve the resolution recommending adoption of the project plan and boundaries, for tax increment district number 10 in the city of Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Item number 12 is adjournment.
Move
I
to
feel
adjourn.
moved to approve.
Okay, second,
Second.
Engineer Selly. Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, that motion carries at 4:50 PM.